it's time for Point and Shoot. We're back this week. Skipped last week because of the trip to San Francisco and checking out what Google I/O did and what it meant for smartphone photography. This is also part 2 of our high-key lighting discussion. And also, Pixelmator on iOS. Have y'all heard about that? Let's check it out. Hey folks, how y'all doing? I am Aunt Pruitt, and this is the Smartphone Photographers Community Hangout on Air. We like to call this thing Point and Shoot. Each week, ideally each Thursday, we like to get together with one another in the community and have a little discussion about different tips and tricks to make you a much better smartphone photographer. Because believe it or not, the little things you carry around in your pocket to take selfies and pictures of your food and all of that, they are really dadgum good at taking some amazing photos. All it is just a little bit of effort, a little 2 seconds of extra work to make these things give you some nice shots. And that's the kind of stuff we talk about here in the community. In addition to that, we also have weekly photography challenges that we discuss, and they're varying in different themes and whatnot. It could be something about black and white, it could be HDR only, or what have you. It really varies, and it boils down to being a nice learning experience because there's different techniques involved that you may not know about, and it's stuff that's used in the regular world of photography with the big DSLRs and so forth, but you can apply those principles to your smartphone camera as well. All right, tonight I'm only joined by one of our moderators, my man down in Tejas. He's got a mic problem, but I think he's back now. There he is. My man, Mr. Michael King. What's happening, bro? How you doing?
Well, except for, as everybody's probably heard about, the Houston floods, and Jersey Village got spared from it either. So my apartment got 4 feet of water in it. Other than that, everything's pretty good. I'm in another part of our complex. I got all my furniture replaced. The insurance company's taking care of it, so I'm doing great. In fact, I got better than I used to have.
It's nice that they took care of you, but I'm very sorry about the circumstances that.
Oh yeah, well it could have been worse. They're still finding more people. We are at 19 now that drowned.
Oh man. Thoughts and prayers go out to those families affected by this storm that's been happening over the last week and a half there in the southwest of Texas and Oklahoma and I want to say part of Kansas also, right?
Yes. The state of Texas has had, since records were kept, the wettest May ever. We are now, the official records we are at 19 inches of rain, which is a year's worth already.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Well, just keep hanging in there, bro.
Oh yeah, we're doing.
Keep sheltered and dry, my man.
Oh, we're now nice and hot and dry. I just could not have time to do the challenge because I've been doing a lot of claims.
Of course you have, Mr. Insurance Man.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into to this week's discussion. First off, we'll go ahead and get into our weekly challenge that we proposed. This was proposed by community member Nicole H. She is very, very good at her photography. If you follow her online, she does a lot of her shots with the Samsung Galaxy line, whether it's a 5 or 6. I think she has the 6 now, but she also does a lot of shots with DSLRs. I think she's a Nikon shooter.
Yeah, she is. She's in a group. She's in a group that they do a bunch of stuff. And I can see her DSLR working.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think
focus on the challenge that she proposed, and it's called high key photography. High key lighting photography. Now, in our previous Hangout on Air, which was 2 weeks ago, because we didn't host last week due to the holiday and me traveling and all that good stuff, high key lighting, as we discussed in that Hangout, was basically having a subject matter on a white background white background, but you have to have the lighting set that it damn near washes out the subject's blemishes, if you will. Some of the better examples were when we look back at the old shots from the people in Hollywood, because before we had all of these great cameras and whatnot, the cameras did just enough, and people wanted to make things look a little more glamorous and so forth. And if someone had, blemishes on their skin, they wanted to get rid of that because, we didn't necessarily have Photoshop back then. So the trick was to have the lighting so bright and focused in just the right spots where it gave you that beautiful white background and also a smooth texture on your subject, whether it's an object, but ideally you saw it with models and things of that nature. We didn't get a lot of submissions for the challenge this week, but I think they're pretty daggone clever.
Yes.
Some of them. So what we'll do, we'll go through and take a look at some shots. So I'll start out with the good old screen share like I always do.
Crash.
Photos there. No, we ain't got to worry about that. I got my other monitor back too, dude. So
all right,
we're good. So let's see.
We're professionals now.
I didn't say that. All right. So you see my screen now, brother?
Yep. And I'll see everything.
All right. So let me move that out of the way. We're gonna take a look at these shots. We got a handful of votes, and we got a lot of ties. So
I think we do have a clear shot winner, though. I do believe.
Yeah, we got it. We do have a winner now. Let's let me look at this one here, and this is one of my shots, and I am more than happy to critique it and beat it up. And when I started working on this isn't my first shot that I wanted to put in for the contest. This is actually my second shot. And why is it my second shot? Because I know I had sunglasses on in my second one. Why did I have sunglasses on? Because the bright lights that I needed to use to make this thing give me that white background and try to, smooth out my not so perfect face. Well, my face is pretty damn perfect. No, I'm just kidding. But this one was this one took a lot of post processing because of the background. I just sat against a wall here in the apartment,
right? And
I don't know anybody that has a perfectly white wall in their house. I don't know not one soul. Even the people that paint their walls white, within a matter of minutes, that white is gone because of the filth that goes around, whether it's people's hands or brushing up against the wall. It's just not going to happen. And so the trick with this challenge was to get your light to try to make it as white as possible. And then you can go into post-processing and correct those areas, which is pretty much what I did with this particular shot. I used Lightroom on the desktop this time so I could look at it a little better on a larger screen, and went to this background and just selected it a bit at a time and just brushed it into where it would be more white, but not too white to where it gave us too much contrast, because we remember in our previous discussion, we didn't want a whole lot of contrast and making it edgy. You wanted a white background and you wanted it sort of soft along the edges there. So I did that, and I also did a different type of vignetting. Instead of this typical black vignetting you see, I used a little bit of that white feathering in the vignette. Again, this was a really, really, really hard shot to pull off. I'm proud of this, the way it even came out. It ain't great, but I'm proud of the way it came out. So I spent a lot of dadgum time on it. But that's the typical gist of high key lighting. It's getting your subject, getting a white background, and it's all based on how powerful and how focused are you with the way you use your lighting. Mr. King, you got any thoughts on this?
The only complaint I have with it is two things.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
The light in the background, the overhead light. I'm not talking about just your LED panel, but you can see a reflection of a wall sconce
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see the reflections in my glasses. Yep.
Right, and then of course the big one that catches your eye and is kind of distracting are the two.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
That's the only complaint I have with it.
Yeah. So your suggestion would be, if because I can sort of go in and have some granular control over these lenses and just make them darker.
Yeah, that. And you could have probably shot from if there was any way to put the light above you and aim it down where it didn't catch your glasses, that would have been a lot better. But as I said, that's the only complaint I have is the reflections.
And I thought about getting a top light because some of the tutorials that I watched talking about high key lighting, they mentioned having an overhead light as an option, but I don't have an overhead light here in Chateau Ghetto, so my LEDs, they're on stands, but they don't get tall enough, and I tried to find a way to sort of hang one, and I couldn't figure out a way to hang one, so I just ended up literally sitting on the floor with these bright LEDs, no filters on them, just blinding me and shooting square at my face.
Yeah, as I said, the only complaint I have is just the reflections. Otherwise, I like it.
Sweet, appreciate that. All right, so that's one of my shots. Let's take a look at this one here. All right, you see that? Okay.
Of the Enterprise.
The good old Enterprise. Now, let me see here.
And not the A, B, C, D. Or E, it's the original.
It's the original. Wow, that I didn't know. But yes, this comes from my man Michael Rutherford. Michael Rutherford took the shot using a Droid Turbo and a better camera Android application. It's a pretty good app. It's got a lot going on with it, but you can get some good use out of it. And he adjusted his exposure on this shot, and he used 2 reading lamps, similar to like the ones that I have on my desk here. A plant up light and a small table lamp. Yeah, so I like that. He did some life hacking. He didn't necessarily go out and get photography lights. He just used the lights that he had. And that's sort of the gist of what this challenge was. Is we know everybody doesn't have photography equipment, but I don't expect that. Heck, I don't have all of this photography equipment, but I was fortunate enough to have these 2 LED lights. But again, you just use what you have. So I give him credit for that. He did his editing inside of Photoshop Elements to remove a little color cast and adjust the tone. All right, my problem with this. Well, no. Let me first start with what I like about it. I like the angle of the Enterprise. I like the detail of the Enterprise, and I love the color of the Enterprise. My problem: the background isn't white. It's
kind of gray.
It's more gray. I'm curious to know what this would look like if it was white, because if you look here, he has white. It's sort of blown out, but it's white. So I wonder if he would have been able to draw that color out for the rest of this background.
Or use the background, use that the paint tool.
Yep.
And hit that and brush and just get the whole thing white.
Yep. That's something that you could try there, Mr. Rutherford. Like the shot, but like I said, I don't think that the background is white. I think it's just more of a
it's more off-white. Yeah. It's kind of an off-white.
Right. And I've looked at this on both of my monitors so I could make sure I wasn't just blind or something, and either way it didn't look like a white background to me. So that's why I didn't give it a vote. I like it, but that was the only thing that kept me from voting on it. Anything else you'd like to share on it?
No, but yeah, that's from the 1965 series.
Back in the days.
I used to watch that when it was first run.
I have been trying to look at it on Netflix here and there, and it was fascinating. It still is fascinating with that. All right, so let's take a look at another one here. We'll go to my man, Mr. Tim McCusker. This is his second. Excuse me. This is his second shot. I'm sorry, folks. I have a cold or something, so My voice is going to sound like crap. But anyway,
No comment.
This is from my man, Mr. Tim McCusker. He's using his 1+1. And wait a minute, he used Snapseed? Well, I'll be dipped. He used Snapseed and Photoshop Express. Tim is known a lot for his work and his processing done inside of Photoshop Express when it comes to his smartphone photography. So I'm surprised to see that he used Snapseed here. But I like this shot better than his original shot submitted. Because it's well defined. It doesn't have a huge contrast, but it has just enough contrast to where we know what we're looking at, and you get a feel for the texture and the color tones here of these flowers. And the background is white. Boom, done. I like the composition of it being down in this corner like that. It's a little different because, you know, as we've said before, most of the time your eyes tend to go left to right on things when you're reading it on the screen. But this time my eyes went straight to this corner and went up. I don't know why. I think that's just because of how he had it placed. But something told me to look down and then work my way up. So I like what he did on this here shot, man. Well done, Mr. McCusker.
I have to agree.
What are your thoughts?
I have to say that really, mine's just about the same. It's. I remember his first shot, and this one is a lot better. As you notice, I voted for it.
Yeah,
and I like it because it was well done, and it does. You kind of catch the bottom, then you want to follow your way up to the left. And left and going up, and said it was just well done.
Now let's take a look at his original shot that he sent in, and I get what he's doing here because it is a white background, but I couldn't quite figure out the focus on it, and it just didn't grab me.
And there was not enough contrast to really see what the whole
Right.
The whole thing was. It looked like it's a statue of a cat. That's all I can think of.
Something. I'm assuming there's something back there, and that's not an artifact, you know.
Right.
But just a touch more contrast might have let me know what that is. I don't know. But
right.
That shot didn't grab me the way this shot did. I mean,
this one nailed it.
This dude. Really like this, Tim. Good job. All right, and we'll flip over. We talked about that one last go around. So let's go to mine here. All right. This is one of the first ones that I took of myself. And as I said the first time, I was sitting on the floor with my back up against the wall with 2 LED lamps, sitting on a little tripod stands. And then I stuck my smartphone, I stuck it on a tripod and pretty much figured out how I wanted to focus and whatnot. And then I tapped the shutter to do the automatic shutter, the countdown. So I tapped it and it counted down to 10 and then it snapped the shot. So I just had to sit there and listen to the chime countdown and whatnot and hope that my pupils didn't dilate too much. And good gosh, you can tell that they did.
I like this one a little better.
But I had fun with this one because of the white. I was able to pull the white out a lot more than I did with those sunglasses. I even got it to where that vignetting sort of washed out my hand a little bit here. And I played with the contrast a little bit just because, I have this black beard on my face. It really stood out. So I turned it down just a hair. No pun intended, turn it down just a hair to not make it such a sharp edge with the contrast on.
Yeah.
Overall.
One thing that shot does, it shows you a lot of gray.
Yeah. Tell me where you see the gray at. All in my beard, huh?
Yeah, your beard's what I'm talking about. But I like this one because there's not that reflection. I really think this is a better shot than your second one.
Yeah, I thought the same. I thought the same too.
Yeah, because the glasses were okay, but just those 2 big reflections of your light was distracting. Other than that, it was a well done shot. But this is really better.
Yeah. And
your pupils are almost down to a pin.
Man, this one I did the processing again with Lightroom on the desktop so I could see a little better. And I don't think I pulled it out and did any other touch-ups like in Snapseed, because every now and then I'll put it up on the computer in Lightroom, do some stuff, export it over to like Google Drive or something, and then pull it up on my mobile device and edit it, do the final editing in Snapseed. I don't think I did that this time. But yeah, this is a lot of cropping and a lot of brushing to help bring out the white back here. Because again, my white wall really isn't a white wall, but took a little time and did some work on it.
It is well worth it.
These are your details here for those that are nerdy enough and care about it. My exposure levels and so forth. And I used a Nexus 6, by the way. Nexus 6. All right. Anything you'd have done differently on this one?
Not really. As I said, I really think your first attempt was better than your last attempt.
That last attempt, dude, was because I couldn't see. I'm dead serious. The only reason this shot looks the way it looks is because I could not see. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm very, very light sensitive, bro.
Well, I know what you're feeling because I kind of work inside a lot, and when I go outside, I gotta have my dark glasses on because I am blind.
I see way better at night than I do during the day.
Same here.
I gotta sneeze. Gotta mute. Hold on. Whew, okay, that's better. Sorry about that, folks.
No problem.
Stupid cold. All right, so let's take a look at the winning photo here. This comes from Nicole H.
Of course.
Sneezing again. Hold on.
No problem.
Okay. Whew. Man, I'm sorry, folks. This stinks. But I don't want to sneeze into the microphone either. Anyway, so this shot comes
I just got through a cough attack.
Dang, man.
Oh.
With two sick brothers on this show. Goodness.
Well, it's all the water we've had. I'm just coughing.
All right. This is the shot from Nicole H. She got the most votes on this shot. I don't think this was her better shot. I voted for it. But as we discussed last week, it's too much black.
Yeah.
All of the black hair, but it's still a pretty daggone cool shot, Nicole.
I think her other shot was really. I can't remember if I voted for that or not. I think I did.
Yeah, you did. And Nicole, this thing, I remember looking at your photos because I think you were one of the first people to submit, and then looking at your shots, I was like, why does this person have sunglasses on? And then I thought, okay, maybe it's just because of the whole glamour shot thing. But
now you know.
But after I sat down and did my shots, man, I know why they got sunglasses on now, you know?
Yeah, her second shot was really good, but again, there was just too much black in it.
This one here, I think was the better. Dang it, I didn't vote for it. There it is. I think this is the better of the two, even though her other one won. I like the soft porcelain look of the skin here, which is essentially what high key lighting was supposed to do. It was supposed to smooth out the skin of the models at the time, so we didn't see all of their smile lines and smoking.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Nicole, she's been using the Galaxy S5 to make these shots, to capture these shots.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did vote for it.
Photoshop Express. Is there anything, we'll go back to the winning shot. Was there anything differently you would have done on this one, Mr. King?
I would have, as we said, as Mike said, you said, and I think everybody said week before last, when we were kind of just touching on this, is that just contrast on the the hair was too dark. That's the only thing it was just too much contrast in it.
Mm-hmm.
if they would have cut that back, it's not to take away. It's still a great shot,
Right.
but if they would cut back on the contrast on both on the hair and on the glasses.
It would have been nice to see her actual grains of hair.
Yes, because it looks like, it looks like,
That looks like a paintbrush.
right. I'm gonna say, when you see an animated person's hair,
Mm-hmm.
unless they get real close and you can see where they painted in each grain. When they're off in the distance, it looks like it's just a black blob or a blonde blob or whatever, what color hair they use. That's what it looks like. You don't see, only time you kind of see any individual grain, strands of hair is around the ears. The rest of it's just too much contrast.
Very nice.
Looks more like animation.
All right. Well, Nicole, you are the winner yet again. So that means you are now on the clock for submitting a new challenge for the smartphone photographers community. Thank you to everybody that participated in it. I know it was a tough one. It was, but I still would like to see our community members try one of these shots in your spare time. Try to pull off a high key photography and share it with us in the community. Let us take a look at it. Let us see what you worked on and how you came up with that particular lighting. No, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's doable. We have 8 examples right there showing you that it's doable. And not all 8 examples had photography equipment, if you will. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you can almost stop saying, with the iPhones, Android phones, Windows phones.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lenses of them are photography type, specs, and they're just as good as now. No, they're not an SLR. They're not it's like a $2,000 SLR with all the fancy lenses, but for a point and shoot, they're not bad. Now I put them in that same class as a point and shoot or anything of those.
Well, no, I was speaking more on the lines of I have a backdrop right here.
Right.
I have this light stand right here. Sweeney, the iPhoneography MacGyver has shown us that you don't have to have all of that equipment.
No.
To pull off.
Yeah, you just need a few little things that you can just
a flashlight here and there.
A flashlight with a diffuser on it. You don't have to be an Alex Lindsay.
Right, exactly.
Or Twit with all their light panels and stuff in their HDR cameras.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right, so we're going to take a look at a few more items before we get out of here. Last week, I was over on the West Coast visiting the wonderful city of San Francisco, attending a Google I/O extended event. No, I did not go to Google I/O. Why? Because they denied my press credentials, which is okay. They deny a lot of people's press credentials. And no, I didn't get in because I couldn't even win the lottery to pay to get in. It's so popular, and they run a random lottery, and if you win the lottery, you get to pay the $900 to get in. I didn't even get that option. But there's always an I/O extended event, which is associated with Google I/O to a degree, where people get together and they do a live stream and they have different discussions and presentations and so forth. So that's where I was, and I was literally right around the corner from the Moscone Center. Anyway, beyond that, Google announced a lot of different things for the next operating system, Android version M, as in Michael, or Milkshake, or what have you.
Yeah, that's what they just came out the other night with it. Everybody thought it was going to be Milky Way, but now it's Milkshake.
Right. So what does that mean to us in the world of smartphone photography? Initially, I didn't even really think anything was going to happen because I didn't expect to have a new phone announced for the Nexus line, which would have had different software and so forth. So we didn't see that. But Google turned around and said, you know what? The photo services that we offer inside of Google Plus, we are pulling that out of Google Plus, and we're going to make it available to everybody. We're going to make it available to Android people. We're going to make it available to iOS people, Windows Mobile, whomever. Okay, so what does that mean? I got somewhere to store my photos? Yeah, you got somewhere to store your photos. But you get to store all of your photos for free. Every last one of them. With a cap on the photos being 16 megapixels, okay? 16 megapixels. And another cap on your videos, they have to be 1080p resolution or lower. And that's all unlimited, and it's all absolutely free.
And there it is.
You got a nice new interface, as Mr. King, pull that up again, Mr. King. Mr. King is on iOS, as you got a nice new interface for this new Photos app that allows you to see, allows you to scroll through your photos a little more efficiently with the breakdown by month, breakdown by year or what have you. The tags are automatically generated. You go in there and say, I want to search for cats or cowboys in this manner. It's going to pull up all of his cowboy pictures there. You know, without you even having to manually put tags.
Oh, I mean, like cowboys, like that?
Yeah, like that one there. But yeah, it's a really nice feature that they've added. It's somewhat creepy because I could also pull up my photo stream and say Michael King, and it's going to look through all of my thousands of photos for Michael King, even though I know I haven't tagged Michael King in any of my photos. So there's a little creepy aspect there from a privacy standpoint, but at the same time, it could be rather convenient. Now, there's a catch to all of that. It is unlimited. It is free. The first catch, 16 megapixels is the cap on your photos. Now, Mr. King, as great as our smartphone cameras are, I'm pretty sure our photos are not going to be 16 megapixels.
No, right now, the megapixel on a iPhone camera is still 8,
Right.
And so I would say most of your, except for a few Windows phones that are all the way up to 40 some odd.
Yeah, there's a handful out there, but the vast majority, we're going to be dealing between that 8 and maybe 15 megapixel.
15, and some right at 16. So
Yeah.
it's gonna. I think they look at their the biggest Android one is 16 megapixels. So they said, okay, that's anything over that. All they'll do is just downgrade it a little bit if it's higher.
Right.
But
And that's to be expected. But I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed, looking at some other people's phones with their permission, of course, these same photos that are not 16 megapixel, they are still being compressed. The quality is coming up in a compressed format instead of the full format. Even though it's not a 16 megapixel file, it is still being compressed. And what happened, I don't know if you actually listened to the keynote discussion, Mr. King, but I listened to it, and the gentleman says, and we're going to offer this for unlimited storage for up to 16 megapixels on your photos. And the crowd goes wild and yada, yada, yada. And as the crowd is dying back down, and he says really quickly, our compression has figured out a way to blah, 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 blah. He threw in compression, you know.
Right.
Now, looking, there's a nice sleight of hand move there by Google.
Right. Now they say if you want your full resolution, you'll go to your Google Drive and you're using your storage off of it.
Right.
So if you have a 1 or 2 terabyte or more, then you can handle it. But said on Google Drive, it's uncompressed. But if you use their free one, it's compressed.
So in other words, you have to pay for your full quality photos.
But again, I look at it this way. Compared now on, if I'm not mistaken, on the Photos app, going to the iCloud Drive, Apple compresses it, so there's some compression on it, but you have hardly anything for free. You have to, if you want anything that store stuff, you have to pay for it, which is, it's not as much as what Google's doing. And I think their compression is about the same, but I don't mind it. But see, I'm trying it at the compression one, and it's a little bit, but it's not bad. And they said they would use the Auto Awesome and stuff like that. Their editing tools to tweak it up a little bit.
Yeah. And that's something that folks need to take in consideration. If you have a Google account, I don't care whether you're iOS, Android, Windows, or whatever. If you have a Google account, be sure to go in and look at your account settings. There's a lot of different options in there for your privacy and your security and how things are handled on the different Google services, especially with the photos. There's options in there to deny people the opportunity to download your photos. If they're looking at your stream or what have you, and you post a picture, they can see it on the screen, but they can't download that photo. They can try to right click, save as, it won't work. They can try right click, copy the link, the image URL, it won't work. The only way they're going to get that is some good old hackery by going into your user agents not the user agents, but going into the different elements and looking at the code and see if you can pull it out of the code there.
Or do a screenshot.
And most folks ain't doing all of that, because with the screenshots, you're going to lose photo quality. So.
Right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when you upload, and they do make now an uploader for both Windows and OS 10 to upload your photos from your computer.
Yep.
And put it into the Photos app and Photos and all that stuff. Anytime you put anything on that, if I'm not mistaken, it's all private until you decide you're going to share. No one gets to see it until you decide, okay, I'm going to share it. Yep. Only then will someone see it. And that's when you can say, okay, they can download it or they can just look at it. And mine are set for they can only look at it. No one can download it but me.
You just got to be careful. But that's the updates with Google Photos. Be sure to check them out inside of your Google profiles, or just go and look at the different options in your particular app store, whether it's the Google Play Store or Windows Market, whatever it's called, or the iTunes App Store. All right. Next, let's take a look at the wonderful app Pixelmator. Pixelmator is a nice photography, photo editing app in the world of iOS. And word on the street is they got a nice little update here recently.
Yes. If you are a Mac user and you have, I got Pixelmator on my Mac, and it's, if you're used to it, they did the update to Pixelmator on iOS, where it is basically the same UI, same everything as your actual Mac app and so it does everything. So if you're used to it on that, and it is it's very good. And here's the thing, it will save where you can actually open it up if you want to do something and then transfer it to your Mac, and you want to open up in Photoshop. It does have a Photoshop app. It will save out as a Photoshop.
You gotta export it as a PSD file.
Yes.
Very nice.
But it's as I said, it is if you have it for the Macintosh, it works exactly the same. It has the same functionality, and really on iOS, as nice as Photoshop Touch and all the Photoshops for iOS, this one is actually a fabulous app. It's just like having the desktop app on your phone.
That's awesome. Now, I've heard a lot about Pixelmator, and I've also heard about Enlight. I've heard more about Pixelator from a guy named Christopher Rizzo. He's not in our community, but I want to say his website is called iCrizzo, ICRIZZO.net. And that's because he is a huge iOS and Apple fan. I mean, huge fan. And it's funny because people troll him so much. He spends a lot of time using Google Plus, and he spends a lot of time on Google Plus discussing different Apple tools, and he makes these different videos and reviews and stuff, and they are great. But it's funny that people will troll him because he's on Google Plus using that platform to discuss iOS stuff. And I think that's stupid, but he points out this app a lot, and he really enjoys using it. He's tweeted to me and talked to me about it several times, and looking at the interface on it, it looks very, very I guess you could say robust.
Yeah,
it's a lot of different options in this thing. Histograms and filters, sliders, just like you would see in, say, Lightroom or what have you. But you can also get into a little more granular effects here.
Oh yeah. If you look at my screen, if you want to see what it looks like on the desktop, and you see that it's identical, here's the desktop version of it.
Well, right now it's just showing the image. It doesn't give us any of the interface.
Well, here's the tools. I'm just going to move it all over to where you can see it.
Still not showing it. It's only just showing the picture of the ladies with the golf clubs. Not that I'm upset about that, but
yeah, I'm surprised it's not showing the interface, because right here I
don't see any interface stuff.
Okay. But no, that, because I said there's the erase tool and stuff like that. Kind of.
Nope, nothing.
Let me go to my screen where I can see the.
Tony Busco, by the way, I do see your questions. Sorry, I just hardly ever look at.
Yeah, you're right. I think I see it's just the cheerleaders. But there's an interface to it that I was trying to see, but yeah, that is okay. That's kind of surprising that it didn't. It just showed you the pictures, not the interface.
It happens. It's all good. You know, I wonder, since I'm not an iOS user, I wonder if there's an emulator out there that I could get my hands on and try to play around with these different iOS apps. And I wonder what the different limitations are. Because I have an Apple ID. I don't use it. It's got our show on there that links to iTunes for people who want to download it.
Yeah.
Well, if there's an emulator that I could install on a computer or on the laptop.
Well, if you have like a virtual machine, you can install Mavericks on a virtual machine and run the developer tools that will run the iOS.
Yeah. See, I don't have a license for Mavericks. I'll just be looking for an emulator, just like what I would have with Android. Well, Android used to have that. I don't think they have that anymore. No, they still do have the little emulation tools. BlueStacks, I believe that's what it's called. I may be wrong. Don't quote me to that, folks. All right. Anyway, Mr. King, is there anything else you'd like to discuss tonight?
Yeah, I was going to show off. I finally gone around and got the manual camera app.
You did. About time.
And there's my first picture with it.
What you been waiting on?
I'm kind of cheap, and that's kind of is, even though it's only $1 something, $2.
Tight, brother. You're tight.
Well, I'm just got through getting my Apple Watch back after it's been gold plated at $399.
Yeah.
And then I have
enough money now, right?
Right. And then the gold plating comes from a third party company. Let me go ahead and stop my screen share. But yeah, I'm very impressed with that. But no, also I'm saving up for a certain firearm that's coming out next month.
Of course.
That's almost $800.
Good gosh.
But and this is the first of the month, and my rent, I had to pay my rent, Now my light bill, my cable bill, and my internet bill's all coming up.
Folks, do we need to get a Kickstarter next time he wants to buy an app?
And I am trying not. I have a 64 gig phone, and I'm trying to leave it enough room so when the next OS comes up, I don't have to hook it up to computer to upgrade.
Right.
Which, speaking of, all right, Google I/O was Thursday. Well, Monday at on Monday is WWDC, and we do have people going from our company that are developers that do a in-house app that we use that is iOS. They also do it for ones that want to run Android, but he'll do iOS, Android plus Macintosh, and he wants to, of course, see the iOS 9, which will be announced, and then 10.11, whichever the new California name is going to be for it. So that's coming up on Monday, and so Thursday we'll be able to talk a little bit about that. Of course, now we will see what kind of camera apps they'll have, but of course they won't talk about hardware because that doesn't happen until September when they do the iPhone.
Yep.
And now they're saying the iPhone, probably the big change on it on the the S version will be Force Touch. I don't think they'll do much to the camera because he said iPhone 7 is going to be a huge update.
We look forward to it. We'll see, but we got to wait until the fall to see that.
Right.
All right.
That's
tell everybody where we can find you. Well, we're going to take a look at some photography from Mr. Michael King. Where do we find your photos?
My photos can be found on Google Plus, of course, in our community, or on Flickr, and it's Michael King 4023, and I can be found on Twitter and throughout the net interwebs. Yeah. But mainly you'll find me on. Oh, and also I do post some on Facebook.
All right. Well, appreciate you joining in this evening, my man. And
anytime.
Again, I'm glad you're safe and dry for the moment.
Yes. Rain's over.
Let's see here. Myself, you can find me here on Google Plus under the name of Ant Pruitt, as it shows there on the screen. Ant Pruitt. People wig out when I tell them that's my name. It's pretty funny to watch the reactions. But you can also find me on Twitter with the handle of Ant_Pruitt. Be sure to check out more of our content that you find about our community. Just go to smartphone-photographers.com, or you can also check out amazingphonephotos.com. Now, smartphone-photographers.com is the website. That's where you want to go to see the reruns of these videos and to see other little tips and tricks and resources there. Okay. AmazingPhonePhotos.com. That's your gallery site. That's the site you go to when you're sitting at the office working on a spreadsheet that you hate. You pull up that website off on the side window, on a side tab, or a side monitor, and just let it scroll through, and you will see some amazing photographs. All of them are taken with a smartphone, whether it's Windows, whether it's iOS, whether it's Android. They're all on there, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Appreciate the folks that contribute to that. If you're interested in having your shot published on that site, just shoot an email over to photos@amazingphonephotos.com, and myself or my assistants will take a look and see if we can get it published for you. Be sure to follow me on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/AntPruitt, and you can find all of these videos there as well. And also other little tips and tricks and playlists that I have created revolving around the world of tech commentary and or smartphone photography tips and tricks. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Check us out next Thursday at about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, somewhere close in that area. We started pretty close to on time tonight, man. So Good job on us tonight. And if you're interested in joining our smartphone photographers community, be sure to just go to the community and select request an invite. And what's going to happen is myself and the other moderators, we will get notified and we'll take a look at your profile. We'll do a semi background check on you. Not really a background check, but we're basically going to take a look at your profile to make sure you fit in with our community, because this is a community that's about learning and sharing tips and tricks as well as sharing our photography. It's not about just showing off your families and spamming everybody with all your photos. We want to get some type of learning experience for everybody involved. Everybody has something that they can offer one way or another, from regards of, a tip or a trick, or even a criticism helps people out. You know what I mean?
And please, in your profile, have some photos that we can look at. Make sure that, because most of the time I've gone in there, I see no photos.
Yeah.
And
to vet you if you don't even take photos.
Right. And I have seen a bunch of photos, but they're with SLRs, and we want photos from either a tablet or a smartphone. You don't have to have a smartphone. You can have, or even if you have the old iPod Touch, any kind of mobile device.
Mobile devices. That's it. All right, folks. Thank you again for everything. Again, I apologize for my voice and my runny nose, but I'm gonna lick this Cole's butt. You watch. I'm gonna kill it with some scotch. All right. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace out.